Comparing the E46 M3 and E39 BMW M5 is a difficult task, two all-time greats from one of the best automotive eras. Now, both have depreciated immensely since their release. In fact, both can be had for under $20,000 and sometimes even under $15,000. That is a steal. Now, both, yes, they're costly to maintain, but for some of the most fun to drive, gorgeous cars on the road, it is absolutely worth it. Picking a definitive favorite between the two is impossible. It's like choosing a favorite child. If I had unlimited money and garage space, I'd have both, no question about it. The point of this video is to help someone who's deciding between the two, and this is a common dilemma, and a good dilemma to have. Help them decide based on their goals, preferences, and needs for their new ride, which one they should get. Now, honestly, you could flip a coin and end up a winner either way, but here's some information to make your life a little bit easier. Let's start with the performance. Both cars are naturally aspirated and both are available with a manual transmission. In fact, the E39 M5 only came with a manual. How cool is that? The E46 had the option of an SMG automated manual transmission. Now, if having a stick shift is a must, I will say that shopping for an M5 will make your life a lot easier because they're all stick shift. The used car market seems to be littered with SMG convertibles. It seems like the enthusiasts with the coupes and the manuals are holding onto these cars for dear life, and for good reason. Can't go wrong either way. We've driven the SMG and it's fun, but this car, if you're gonna buy one, the manual is the way to go. The M3 has a 3.2-liter inline-six, which produces 333 horsepower. The M5 is a 4.9-liter V8, which produces 400 horsepower. 0 to 60 times are nearly identical, around 4.7, 4.8 seconds. That's because the M3 is easier to launch from a dig. However, after that, the M5 seems like it pulls harder in pretty much every gear, especially at freeway speeds. In third gear, the M5 is going to thrust you back into your seat farther. But the difference is pretty minor. The E46 M3 outhandles the M5, no question about it. It feels more nimble on its feet, it's more fun to drive on back roads, and it's more capable on the track than the M5. Especially if it's a tighter track. If you're going to be doing autocrossing or even just cruising on back roads a lot that are tighter, the M3 is the way to go. That's not to say the M5 isn't fun. It's still a blast. It handles well. But if you're really looking for a nimble sports car, the M3 is your ticket. Sound is a large factor in buying a performance car. In the M3, you've got a raspy inline-six that revs to 8,000 RPMs. In the E39 M5, you've got a throaty V8. Personally, I like the sound of the E39 M5 more. Practicality is obviously a large part of the equation. If you often drive alone and don't need to haul major things, the M3 is the clear choice. However, if you often like driving with friends, the M3 is going to seem a bit small. The rear legroom is pretty minimal. Compared to the M5, you can have a blast, you can carry friends, family, a lot of space in the back, a lot of rear legroom, and you've got a massive trunk. There's even a diagram in the trunk that shows you how to stow 3 golf bags. How ridiculous is that? Looks are subjective as well. I prefer the front end of the M5. It's a little simpler. However, I prefer the rear end of the M3. The M5 doesn't look all that much different than a 540i, apart from the quad tailpipes. It's more subtle in its styling, and it's definitely classy. The M3, however, it turns a lot more heads. It's got a bulging hood, it's got flared fenders, vents, quad exhaust. It looks a lot more aggressive. It looks like a sports car. So if that's what you're going for, the M3 is the way to go. If you're looking for a classy and subtle ride with a hell of a lot of power under the bonnet, the M5 is the way to go. Interior-wise, the M5 feels a step above the M3. However, in the specific case of the M3 we're reviewing today, the interior is very well done with powder-coated Alpine white trim to match the exterior, but that's not stock. If you're concerned about interior wear, you should take a look at the M5s. The optional ostrich leather inserts in the seat, displayed on this car here, wear a lot less than traditional leather. That's because ostrich leather is tougher, and they put it in the places that there normally is going to be a lot of wear, so it looks a lot fresher and cleaner than most E46 M3s in the interior. The downside of both of the cars is there is plastic everywhere, but that's a sign of the times. The E39 M5 and E46 M3 are two of my personal favorite cars of all time. They're both incredibly gorgeous and fun to drive. Practicality-wise, the M5 wins as a daily driver. It's also more comfortable. Oh, turkeys. But if you're looking for a fun weekend car or track toy, the E46 takes the cake, no doubt about that. And if you do often drive alone and don't need to haul a lot of stuff, the E46 would be a hell of a fun daily driver.